BulgarianMilitary.com is our source. Go.
Yeah, from
Please don't
Boyko
freeze
Nikolov.
again. Oh, wow.
Vietnamese People's Air Force currently maintains a fleet of 10 Su-27. I wanted to read this because I was kind of amazed at how many airplanes they've got. 10 Su-27s, 35 Su-30s, and 34 Su-22s. Included in their inventory is a reserve MiG-21 and one fish bed. There's talk of them getting 16, perfect number, I think it was 16 F-16s. Indicating improved relations with Vietnam and also concerns about relationship between Vietnam and China.
Well, so I guess my question is, are we friends with Vietnam now, Gonky?
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Oh.
Well, Gonky's the co-host. I asked the questions. He's the smart man.
Plus, I'm half Vietnamese, right? So that automatically makes me an expert.
Which half?
Wombat, yellow light.
It's too easy.
No,
I can't let that one go. Come on, it's too easy,
dude.
Somebody said his
I'll say this:
ham.
the Vietnamese love Americans. I mean, I've been there, obviously. The Vietnamese love Americans, and
do they?
I don't say yes, they do. They do not like the French. They love Americans, dude.
Well, the French started the whole thing.
Yeah, the French enslaved them for like 100 years. So,
they already have flankers, and they have. We'll talk about the Su-30. Hope you did your homework, Gonky. But they have that, and I love that they have the one MiG-21, which is awesome because
only needs one.
That's such a dude. That's Strike Fatron 204, where you have the one jet everybody shares. Hot pit, hot seat. It's just a squadron of 8 dudes that just fly the same jet around 1v0 all the time.
It's probably like the ultimate Supreme Commander's private plane is what it is. He's like, I'm just going to have my own.
That thing would be terrible as a private plane. No, thank you. But so I guess my question that I don't think the article really touched on, are they new Vipers, or is it like the Ukraine situation where they're just approving the transfer of Vipers to Vietnam?
I don't know, man. When I see stuff like this, I always wonder, because I saw it in Malaysia. You got a frontline Western jet and a frontline Russian jet, and the philosophies on how you employ them both is different. So, like, I always wonder about how do you actually get these two airplanes to work together in one fighting force. That's what I see when I see like Vietnam getting F-16s. Like, how do you, because they probably definitely have a Russian doctrine of employing all their Russian airplanes, and you get a Western fighter in there. It's just it.
But you get that with
the
training, right? Yeah, but you get that when you buy the jet. That's why they hired you. So they buy the jet. And then they go to Tucson, they get trained up in the Viper tactics, all that stuff. I mean, it comes with a lot more than just airplanes usually.
Yeah, but then what you have is like, right, then Vietnam has like 2 air forces, the Su-30 Air Force and the F-16 Air Force. Well, guess what? You guys are on the same team. How do you work together? Or how do you meld the tactics? And like, I saw a little bit of that difficulty when I was in Malaysia, because I did missions with the MiG-29, and I had no idea what was going on. I'm like, what are you guys? Because of what was required to get the MiG-29 to the merge. I know all that. I know what you're saying and thinking.
Might not have been.
But you know what I'm saying? I mean,
that's all I'm saying. It's too easy. Don't throw wiffle balls at me tonight. I'm not in the mood for that. It's too easy.
But what like Mover said, okay, you come to the U.S. and train. We teach you the Western way to do it. And then you go back to your own country. It's like, well, these Su-30 guys went to Mother Russia and they learned their thing. How is this making our Air Force stronger? As like that's the way I look at it. So I think
the other.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Gonky. I'm sorry. A little delay there.
I just gotta say, I think it's wise to have, either all Western jets or all Russian jets.
But the other part to this too is going back to my original point. If they're brand new Block 70s, which I'm for, love that idea because it keeps the assembly line rolling. That assembly line is backed up. I mean, I think I read something they're producing like 4 a month, and it was so bad that the Taiwanese jets, the ones that like they're due right now, they're having an issue. So they're upgrading the current Vipers as a stopgap. They're like, okay, well, we realize we're a little bit behind, so here's upgrades for what you got until we can get the production. So if it's new jets, it's not going to be quick, but I am for it because guess what? It's American jobs. It's American jobs at the factory, flying FCFs, building in the great state of South Carolina. They might need somebody to test fly these jets, and I think it's great. However, if they're just transferring jets, then it's the same thing as anything else. It's like, okay, whatever.
I was kind of on board with what you were saying, Gonki, about, having the different tactics, but to devil's advocate it, why would that be any different than the U.S. that has Air Force and Navy tactics that are different?
And they are different. I mean, that strengthens my point.
So, I mean, but my point being is like, we seem to make it work. So maybe they would take these two aircraft and use them completely separate roles, kind of how we do things. I'm just curious. Honestly, I don't have a dog in the fight.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care either way. It's just one way to look at it as to like, well, maybe that's, if that was employed correctly, we kind of do the same thing. We just happen to make the planes across. But I mean, the stuff that, you did in the Air Force is very different than what you did in the Navy. And things like that. So I don't know.
Flanker guys are the Cowboys, and the Viper guys are just out there briefing weather NOTAM all day. Right? Total. What's that? Reserve guard. TFI is reserve guard when you add a reserve thing to the total force.